love moon, huh? Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Happy Easter, everyone. It's time for the Breakfaster Feaster. Special feature. Coming like a creature. All right. Jack motherfuckers like Jack Reacher. All right, chill, Don. We're down to our business time. All right. Welcome to Tejas. I'm your Tay boss. Tay boss? Hell yeah, Tejas, Don. Welcome to Texas, Texas. That was my friend's email for a while before he grew up. Yeah, I guess he grew up, Yeah, but at first, when he was young, he wasn't really grown up, so he did a lot of silly shit. So he called his email. It was texass69 at hotmail.com or something. Does he still have that email, texass69? No, he's a mature adult now, so he has to be a mature adult in Hollywood now. He's a professional man now. Yeah. But I remember what his original email was. It was texass69. I remember that shit. I knew what his original email was, guys. It was Newmaster69. Like from Marvel. No, it was Texass69. Even funnier than Newmaster. Now, if you brought up something like from people's teenage years or their college years that was really silly as hell, they would act like they didn't know you. Like, oh, that never happened. Yeah, I was like, yeah, right. I remember what happened, dude. Don't fucking lie to me. I'm like, Tool, don't you fucking lie. Don't you fucking lie. That's eulogy. Oh, happy Easter is resurrection of Jesus Christ, right? Eulogy from Tool. Yeah. You said you would die for me. Then why then are you so surprised to hear your own eulogy? Calm down, get off your fucking cross. We could use the fucking space to nail the next fool, mother. Remember that? That's a good Tool song, right? Yeah, it's a great one. Yeah, I like that one. He had a lot to say. He had a lot of nothing to say. We'll miss him. We're gonna miss him. He told us he wasn't afraid to die. So long. Yeah. Yeah, some people thought I liked the Marilyn Manson Hollywood. Dear God, come down from that tree and meet in the shape of a T. Yeah, he thought. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a little funny. I didn't think it was like the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life, but you know, obviously it was pretty funny theater, definitely. I guess that's the problem, right? With the like any kind of group, even the Beatles kind of hit a wall, even though they're like musical geniuses. But then eventually, you know, even the Beatles are like, okay, what are we gonna do now? We already did all this other shit, right? Yeah. Yeah, even musical geniuses, even Beethoven is like, okay, I already did the Ninth Symphony. Now what do I do? You know, right? Like Eddie Van Halen's already like, okay, I did Van Halen 1, 2, and okay, what do I do now? Yeah. Even the best are like, okay, what's next? Yeah, that's the problem, I guess. Or that could be an issue, I suppose. Yeah. Well. No, Elon Musk is like, well, there's always Mars. Yeah. If you want a challenge that could really, really put electricity on your balls, then you can go to Mars. Because, you know, there's no like air and there's no magnetic field and there's no protection from radiation from space cancer. So there you go. There's your challenge right there. Woo! But now, if it was just another pretty green world like Earth, people would just go there and just take it for granted. They would take life for granted. They would just go there and go, whoop to shit, another world. You know, they wouldn't. They would just say, oh wow, yeah. They would just fuck it up like they did Earth. They would just use all the resources, abuse everything. They would just fuck the creatures and fuck the atmosphere like Avatar, and it'd be over. Thank God these beautiful worlds of God aren't within our grasp because, man, humans would just fuck it up. Yeah, that's good. This we're having the big Easter breakfast, baby. Yeah. Yeah, I thought Eulogy was a brilliant song about Jesus. I thought that was a great song. So it's like, it was kind of like, it was basically saying to Christianity, it was basically saying to all the religious people out there, well, where's he at? Yeah, that's a good one. Well, it's prophesied in Revelation that he's going to come after 2,000 years. Well, if another 1,000 year passes, I mean, how many believers are they going to have? I mean, honestly, in Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, I mean, if nobody comes, who's going to believe in that shit? Yeah, I guess that's a problem for the faith, right? How they gonna get new recruits if recruitment's down? Like, yeah, that's kind of a problem. It's a huge issue. Yeah, what are they gonna do about recruitment if people aren't stuck on ancient religions and all that? Yeah, yeah, that's gonna be a problem. If nothing comes true in the prophecy, then who's gonna be the faithful? You know, of this ancient earth dogma, then nobody is the answer. Yeah. So what will the religion turn into? The religion of phytoplankton on K218? Will it just become a universe religion or some kind of, you know, space religion or something, I guess? Oumuamua, strange objects coming into our solar system. Will it just become like a space age religion, right? It'll become like a new age, basically. In other words. Yeah. So people would just start to worship the universe. They won't worship Muhammad or God anymore or Jehovah. They won't worship, Muhammad or anything like that. They won't worship Allah or Elohim or anything. Now, the Vatican and the Catholics and all the religious cults from the ancient days, they've been trying to stamp out space science forever, since the days of Copernicus and Galileo. They've been trying to, because they knew that space science and star science was going to be a major fucking problem to their religions, because they wouldn't have the control, the grip of power of these people anymore. You won't have your Joel Osteens, you won't have your grifters. You can't make all that money if people don't believe in what you're saying. There is no John Hagee. There is no Joel Osteen. There is no Kenneth Copeland if there isn't any prophecy, if nothing comes true from the word. All it's going to take is one James Webb telescope picture of an alien, a fucking squid dude, and it's over. And everybody, and all religions know that. Now, all the ancient earth religions will try to struggle and they'll try to cope with it. They'll just say, well, God was, really creative. God is really powerful and creative. He just, he had other creations on other worlds, and that's also under Christ, and that's under God, and that's under Allah, and Elohim, and Jews, or whatever. Yeah. So they'll try to struggle to survive in the new order, in the new matrix. They may or may not be able to do that, but they will try to, in other words. They may not be able to cope with the changes, really. I mean, especially if we find like a spacefaring civilization, of aliens of advanced technology, then their ideas of how the earth formed and its purpose of man, those might all be found in the dustbin of history. It might all get relegated to that. My personal view on things is that there may or may not be a God. I'm not for sure. I haven't seen any signs of his miracles, though. I don't see that. I usually see a world of suffering and pain and confusion is what I usually see. That's the normal experience, the day-to-day grind of trying to survive and make money. All right, that's the real world, in other words. The real world is of survival and trying to obtain prosperity. That's the real world. But I do believe that there's a universe. The known observable universe has 2 trillion galaxies in it. I can't believe that there's nothing there. That would be impossible. That would be like the ancient people looking at the sea and saying, oh yeah, there's just nothing. It's just a big void of just salty ocean. There's nothing out there. That would just be like our ancestors saying that. It's not true. And it never was true. There may not be advanced, evolved creatures such as us, or God's creatures like us out there. But there's going to be something out there, whether it's a squid dude or some lizards or some snakes or something. There's going to be something out there. There's going to be entities. There's going to be microbes. There's going to be viruses. There's going to be something. There's going to be some life. So I'm not worried about that. Yes, there might even be civilizations, of course, like Star Trek. Yeah, there might be cyborg civilizations. There might be like Star Wars, squid, calamari civilizations. Who knows what it could be? There could be furries. There could be Chewbacca civilizations, like Shih Tzus. Who knows what it's going to look like? There's no telling until you make the discovery or you go there. So if I had an ancient religion that millions of people believed on Earth, and then they find life on another planet, like scientists are doing now, their advanced telescopes and probes and drones or whatever. And bizarrely, the U.S. government and governments around the world have started to become transparent about extraterrestrial life, which would have been unheard of when I was growing up in the 1980s, 1990s. The government was as cold as a stone in terms of talking about extraterrestrials and advanced civilizations beyond our own and things, advanced technology. They would never, ever reveal that to the public, ever. They'd rather watch people die than reveal the true secrets of power. So my theorem was that they weren't going to release information to the public about extraterrestrials and technology because, for the simple fact that they want the power for themselves. See, so if the U.S. government discovered like the fountain of youth, they'd want to all keep it for themselves. They wouldn't want to share technology with the public. If they discovered an advanced civilization and UFO crashes and advanced alien technology, they wouldn't want to share it with the public. Share the fruits. Now, the people in politics in the U.S. government seem like they're people that want to share with us. That is not their modus operandi. That is not their psychological makeup. Yeah, I know Joe Biden and the Democrats are like, we're going to cure cancer. Do they really want to cure cancer? Because they would have done it already if they were fucking serious, right? So they must say, I want to cure cancer to get votes. They don't seem to be doing it because of love of man or love of altruism and charity and philanthropy. They don't do it out of the goodness of their heart, right? They say stuff, but they don't do stuff. So Joe Biden goes out to the podium and he gets told by his masters what to say. And he goes, "Oh, I'm gonna cure cancer." He doesn't do shit though. But he says he's gonna cure cancer, right? But doesn't mean he's doing anything. Doesn't mean he does shit. Just says shit. So a theory was that all this UAP stuff was released. All this UAP reports and all these, like fighter pilot footage with UFOs, that all this stuff, all the Tic Tac reports, that they were all released to the public for. It was supposed to get ready for some sort of UFO event, whether it was a false flag, whether it was, true or not. That they were going to simulate an alien attack or something like that. But they had to get people to believe that there's aliens on other worlds. So to do that, then the government would have to pretend that they were being transparent about the truth. X-Files, the truth is out there. Well, I think I might put this one over here. Do a little reducer. Yeah. Okay, so how does Christianity or Judaism or Islam cope with when it happens, right? Okay, so how do they cope? How does Kenneth Copeland cope, or Joel Osteen, or whatever? How do they? So the church was the original GoFundMe, the original Fund Me Go. All right, before the internet, before internet e-business, e-commerce. It would basically, the religious people would say, the pastor would say, "Give me money, or you're not going to heaven." So that was a major guilt trip for most people, so they did it. I'm not going to heaven. Oh no. Yeah. Yeah. Forget about me. About weed. Yeah, I know what Joel Osteen is doing. He's getting all the money flowing upwards to him. He's not going to heaven, that's for sure. Now, what Joel Osteen preaches is something called prosperity gospel, and it's bullshit. It's not really real gospel. So what Joel Osteen does is say, all right, okay. So what Joel Osteen says is, believe in Jesus and the Bible, Christianity, but if you really want to go to heaven, then you need to support the church. You need to buy my books. You need to buy my literature. Because I will direct you on the path to Jesus Christ and eternal life. Okay. So a lot of these poor saps and souls out there are believing this bullshit, Joel Osteen bullshit. Because they're torn and they're twisted and their lives are screwed. Like, you know, if you're not wealthy in this society, you're pretty much screwed. Okay. Most people know that. Just by their day-to-day living. They know that the rich are getting richer every year and they're not getting anywhere. So most people realize that. Okay. Most people see the writing on the wall, right? So most people see the rubber from the road. Yeah. The writing on the wall, the rubber from the road, where the tires hit the pavement, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, most people see the forest from the trees. Not all people do, but... So a lot of people are like, well, maybe if I give a lot of money to this rich guy, then I'll become rich too. But they're just poor saps. They're chumps. Right? They're not Trump supporters, they're chump supporters. I'm not talking about Trump supporters like me, Trump voters. I'm talking about chump supporters like Joel Osteen. All right? I could feel the Jesus coming in my soul. Oh. And he's like, give me more money, and you will also share in the prosperity gospel. All these fucking charlatans, you know? Send me money and you'll be wealthy yourself. And most people who are really smart go, nah, because they know this bullcrap. But some people, they get in their desperate state and they don't know better. Yeah. There you go. So how is the Jewish church, the Christian church, going to cope with alien life? What's going to be their coping phrases? What's going to be their cope? They're just going to say, well, Jesus was really powerful. Weepee. Okay, that's all they're going to do. They're just going to say, well, you know, God had a magic wand. That's all they're going to do. And then people are just going to go, well, I guess powerful entities had magic wands. Because that's just simpler to accept. Nobody wants to accept that they were wrong, like a Kamala Harris voter. That's hard to deal with. Now, I'm perfectly comfortable if I make a mistake to say, you know what? I made a fucking error. I fucked up. I'm perfectly capable of doing that, but not everybody is. Some people are stubborn and they won't admit that Kamala Harris wasn't a good candidate, or that the Biden Harris regime failed. A lot of people won't admit that, but they did. That's one of the most corrupt fucking political parties and people in all of history of American politics. That was the worst. Absolute trash. Absolute filth. Absolute evil, really. So they were condemned. So they were thrown out of power because they deserved to. We barely let Chuck Toomer, Schmuck Toomer, and Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden get away with their crimes against us. We barely let them get away from federal prison, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. The only reason why Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, why they're not all in a federal prison right now, is because they had presidential pardons. That's the only reason. Otherwise, they would have been underneath the jail, and everybody knows it. Not just Edward Snowden and Julian Assange knew it, and the WikiLeaks and so forth, but we know it as American citizens, what they did to us over the last 20 years, 20 to 30, 40 years. So, uh, those eggs on it, yeah. All right. The funniest part of Joe Biden's last days was that everybody knew that he had dementia, but he's trying to pardon all his criminal friends before he gets out of office. But he needs help because he's old and has dementia and he doesn't know what he's doing. So part of the most hilarious thing is that Joe Biden immediately does a retroactive blanket pardon for his son Hunter Biden and his family, because that's basically who the only people he really gives a shit about is the Biden family. So that would be like me if I just cared about the Wheelers and the Stanleys and I was the president. I just gave them pardons and millions of dollars, but I didn't give a shit about anybody else, right? Similar. That would be the equivalent thing. The equivalency. So I mean, you can imagine Joe Biden's last day in office, and he's trying to pardon all his criminal family and all his criminal friends. But there's so many criminals that he's got. There's so many there's so many like evil deals he's got going on with Chinese Communist Party and Iran and Ukraine and all this stuff. I mean, how could he keep his mind. I mean, his mind is turning turn into dust. It's turned into It's turned into clay. Oh, she did. Oh. Oh. That's Tula, baby. I gave her fresh waba. Oh, Dooley. Oh.
You know what she reminds me of?
What? Tula?
The Grinch That Stole Christmas.
No, you remind me of Harry and the Hendersons.
No.
You're like Sasquatch.
But also, she reminds me of
Yeah.
Jim Carrey when he was the little Grinch.
You're right. You're right.
Paws.
Yeah.
Except she's brown, not green.
Yeah. She's like the little Grinch. Tula, she was loose this morning, and I was like, oh no.
Oh Lord.
But that means she got up the stairs, or you brought her up here?
Huh?
I said, how come she was loose up here?
Oh no.
Yeah. Is she able to climb the steps already?
She still chickened out and fell back on the floor just a while ago, so she's afraid of something.
Is she big enough to handle the stairs?
No. No, she made it up to on the second one to the third, and then climbed back down, and then kind of fell onto the floor.
Ooh.
No, she's not.
Well,
She's not good. She's not good.
your big Easter breakfast is ready.
Oh, thank you.
Yo. Haha, love you too.